Okay, so this is the first version, at least, of the adapter plate for mounting the speaker. It took a fair amount of head scratching and trial and error, but I think this will work. But because there's so little room, essentially the way this works is the speaker will mount on these two bolts, which are now glued in, and they're fixed, because in situ there's no way you can get at them from underneath. And so these two holes here will take the bolts for going down into the chassis, and the speaker will then sit across these bolts and be bolted on. So effectively what it means is the sequence of how you do this is kind of important. And then I'll put locking nuts on the bottom, so hopefully that will work out okay. And so this is a just a mock-up of the extender plate to go on the bottom of the speaker. And what I'll do is, when I've got the speaker installed on the chassis, I'll mark the exact point of the hole here from the inside of the chassis, so I get it exactly right. So yes, metalwork coming along. Alright, the speaker is at this point mounted onto the chassis. So it's got a bolt going down through the grommet, separate bolt coming up here to mount the speaker, and you can see the third one mounted on the front. All these bolts are just temporary, just for dry fitting, because the baffle board will mount around this whole speaker assembly. And so yes, the final fit will use slightly different hardware. I'll use lock nuts for all of these things so that they're not going to vibrate loose. So next is going to be fitting the output transformer on top here. It's the next piece of metalwork on the cards. Okay, some more metalwork done. So the output transformer is now fixed onto the speaker mount with some pop rivets, which these little guys. I'll confess it was a tad nerve-wracking, because I thought all it takes is something to slip and I'll go straight through the speaker gone. But it may not be the most elegant piece of metalwork ever in the world, but it's certainly functional, and so I think that'll do for now. And so we'll get on to making the baffle. Right, so there's the baffle board fitted, and I've just dry fitted just a mock-up of everything to make sure everything fits. Okay, we finally have a complete set of octal sockets, thanks to the one I got from Rob on the forum. So you can probably see that it's very slightly bigger than the existing ones. And so originally it's the rectifier socket that needed replacing, but because it's up against the side wall here, the slightly larger Paxilin base wouldn't fit very well over there. So in the end I removed the one that was here and put it up in the corner, and then with a little bit of machining to make it fit next to the other one, it fits in this position. Now, I was originally going to fix them in with pop rivets, snap rivets. However, the tension required to snap the shaft on here to fit the rivet is too much for the Paxilin, and so I did a test, and when you snap the rivet, it cracks the Paxilin, so I thought, not good. So I can't find any of these types of original fasteners, which are obviously not pop rivets. They're some sort of rivet that's compressed from each side. So I just went with M3 bolts with locking nuts, and it may not be the most elegant solution in the world, but there comes a time when you got to move the project along. So a complete set of sockets, and we're good to go. So while I'm at the metalwork stage, I thought I'd have a look at the front panel assembly here and see what needs to be done on this lot. So it was very stiff and tended to make screeching noises as you move this back and forth. So the binding was this bearing in here, so I've freed that out and lubed it up. And the sort of screeching noise was how this carrier here sat on top of this rail. So I just had to clean it all up and realign it a little bit better, and so now we have pretty decent movement throughout the full travel of the dial. As you can see, it's lost a lot of paint, and since the window goes almost all the way up to the top here, I think I'm going to have to try and find some matte brown paint, something close to this color, and repaint the front of it. The other piece of metal work that I'm going to have to do is there are 3 clamps to hold the dial in place. 1, 2, 3, and this one's missing. So I need to fabricate one of those. Also the rubber supports that hold the glass dial in place are all gone completely rock hard, so I'm going to have to fabricate up some sort of replacements for those as well. It's interesting because 3 of them go through holes in the front panel, but then this one here does not. That's just glued on the front. I don't think it makes much difference because I'm probably just going to have to glue something on anyway. So you won't be able to find anything like the originals. Okay, so still plenty of metal work to do. Next task up is for the front panel here to repaint it. It actually started out as I was just going to just touch it up. So I thought I'll give it a quick coat of acetone just to degrease it, and then I'll touch up the bits where the paint is missing. However, I discovered that the acetone basically just, whatever paint this was on here, the acetone just went straight through it and dissolved it quick as you please. So I thought I may as well clean it off and go down to the bare metal and start over. So that's the plan. So I'll probably give this a quick sand in just to give it a key, and then I'll use some black automotive primer, and then I'll got some matte dark brown lacquer to go on top, and we'll see what it looks like after that. So yeah, didn't quite intend to go this far, but now that we're here, we'll clean it up, mask it up, and give it a go. So here it is, degreased and cleaned up with the worst of the rust removed. And so we'll have a go at Okay, I suspect that's enough. I'll let that dry up and see where we go from there. Okay, so here's the repainted front dial. The color is not exactly right. It's a little bit lighter than I'd like, but I think it's perfectly okay for now, unless I can find something darker a little bit later on. But yeah, it's in a lot better condition now than it was before. So I think we'll call that done for now, and I'll get on to fabricating the missing clip and the little rubber mounts for the dial. Okay, so here's my replacement for the third little retaining clip for the glass dial. Reasonably happy with it. It's not as strong as the other two because these are made of mild steel, and I couldn't find any mild steel of the right gauge, and it has to be the right gauge to go down the hole in the front panel. So this is made of aluminium, but I'll put these two on the bottom and this one at the top, so this one is not carrying any weight. It just has to hold the glass against the rubber mount, so hopefully that'll be okay. And so now I got to do the 4 rubber mounts.